when I was about 9 years old, so I'll give you a bit of history. I grew up in Canada. I grew up from Toronto area. And I moved to Hong Kong for 4 years of my life, and at the age of 5 to about 9 years old. Now, I knew it was always going to be a temporary move. My parents moved there because they felt that I needed to learn my heritage, my Chinese language and Cantonese, and just to kind of get that basis. And plus, back in the 80s, early 80s is when there was a massive boom in Hong Kong, and in the construction industry. So my dad took us there, and my grandfather had a huge business in real estate. But unfortunately, by sort of close to mid-1980s, the whole real estate market crashed in Hong Kong. Just devastated the whole country. Our family lost everything. My grandfather had to kind of leave the country and never come back, that type of thing, because he was just owed the country so much money. And so I went back to Canada when I was 9 years old. But one of the things was that because between 5 and 9, those are your year 1, 2, and 3, right? Those are your basic understanding of grammar and language. And unfortunately, I was in Hong Kong, so I was studying Chinese grammar language. I didn't have a grasp for the English language very well. So when I went back, I went to summer school, because we got back around June, July. Went to summer school to prepare for my school year in September. And one of the things I found out was that I couldn't speak my own language. Like, you just imagine, 9-year-old boy who grew up from Canada, who told everybody he's from Canada, always want to go back to Canada. I can't even speak English. I can't communicate with my own classmates, had no friends, went to, obviously went to, I think, year 4 at the time. No basic understanding to be able to communicate. Only people who could communicate was the 2 other immigrants from Hong Kong. Those are the only people that I can actually communicate with. But there was one thing, though, that I was really good at. I was really good at mathematics, right? Because, as you know, most of the Asians are really good at mathematics. And the only reason why they're really good at it is because they just started earlier in those early years, right? I was learning multiplication like year 1, and so I had that little bit of advanced skill. So that was my only strength that I can utilize. But what's funny thing about mathematics, though, is that you can communicate universally, with anybody, no matter what language you are, from what country you are. And that's the point about WCCS. You guys are coming from, is it 23 different schools here today? Yeah? And you have 23 different philosophies, principles, thoughts about chiropractic, and you're going to try to agree on, from what my memory was, you try to agree on one thing to send out to other people, and you continue to do that for the next 4 or 5 days, right? That's hard work. It's hard, isn't it? And then you add Robert's rules in that, it's like nothing gets done almost sometimes, right? I remember the bantering about Robert's rules. But the thing is, though, you must remember, it's like mathematics. You do have one thing in common. The one thing in common is chiropractic. Now, some of you might argue, say, well, there's so much disagreement on chiropractic itself. I understand that. But the goal of the future for chiropractors is for you, as the future leaders of this profession, is to figure out what is the common mathematical denominator about chiropractic that you can all agree on. Because if we cannot do that, this profession will not survive. I know we say it's great and everything, that's the positive side, but the negative side is that other professions will come up. If we cannot stick together and at least agree on the fundamentals, it's going to be a tough thing. This is why WCCS is so important. It's training ground for you guys to be the future leaders of this profession to make it happen. It allows, and that's why I really encourage you to not be mediocre at this. Not just this weekend, but really not mediocre in your practice as well. This is Life University. Anybody from Life? Yeah, great. I'm sure, is that statue still there? Yeah. I'm sure it is, right? You're not going to take that away. So I'm from Toronto, right? I'm CMCC. But what I understood, though, when I went through 4 years of chiropractic college, is that learning from my own school gives me only a perspective of chiropractic one way. So I traveled to many different schools. I've been to AECC, obviously. I've been to Macquarie, been to LACC. I've been to National. Is National still exist yet? Anybody from National? Chicago? No? Not here? Okay. Been to NYCC. Any NYCC here? No. Okay. Been to Life West. Life West. Hey, excellent. Why did I go to all the schools? And obviously Life University. Because I went there because I want to get a different perspective of what my school is teaching me. Because you're going to learn so much more about chiropractic. At the end of the day, I understand you got to get past boards, right? Part 1, 2, 3, 4. There's parts. Is it 4 boards? 4 parts still? Okay. But you still got to understand the perspective of how other people are thinking. Now, this environment is perfect. You get to interact with every single person from every different school from all around the world to kind of get an understanding is how are they thinking? What do they think about chiropractic? When you start really getting down, have a few drinks and you start to talk to each other, you start to realize that you kind of all believe in the same thing, right? It's just the little fundamental shifts that might be slightly different. But at the end of the day, you all believe in chiropractic. You all believe that it helps people. That's what you got to find, that agreement, that denominator. That's the common denominator you need to find out here over the next 4 or 5 days. And then you carry on to Durban. And you carry it on. And year after year, it's going to make a difference. WCCS, as I said, has changed so much in the last 10 years. And it's going to change again. Like, I hope one of you or most of you will come back and do this 10 years from now. And talk to the WCCS at that point. I mean, can you imagine what you guys would have created? That's what you got to think from. It's not about you. It's not about, the WCCS. It's about how is it going to affect the profession later on.